Hello and welcome. Welcome to my channel, Re-Vera. My name is Steve. And I'm just gonna go and call the Swoletariat. So let's do it. Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we are. Hey, how's it going? You know.
Good, you?
Well, no bombs are flying towards me yet.
Not yet.
That I know of.
Here in Canada, I'm safe.
Can anywhere be safe during a world war?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I was having such a good day too. Like I told you, I had at least replies from Bo of the Fifth Column, Vosh, and
Bo replied?
Yeah, to a just a tweet. It was no big deal really. It's not like we were
I looked for it. I couldn't find it. What did he say?
Oh, he just from a tweet yesterday. He said something, and then I asked for a source, and he replied with a source. So it was like no big deal.
It's a big deal.
Not probably. My favorite YouTube channel since I discovered YouTube has been Potholer54. And he doesn't put out a ton of content, but the content he has is freaking like perfect. It's so good.
I haven't I'm subscribed to him, but I haven't kept up with him. I don't see his stuff. He doesn't
post a ton of stuff. It's like one video every couple of months, which is unfortunate. But like I've watched every video he has, and it's all really good. And he doesn't talk politics. It's like just straight science. He's a science journalist. And
he's got 200,000 subs.
He should have like 10 million. He probably has, but YouTube cleans out its subscribers list so often, and he doesn't release content often enough. So that's probably why he doesn't have more.
All right. Well, what is his best stuff?
Well, I always recommend anybody who's like skeptical of climate change, but they like want to actually be educated. I sent him to Potholer54 and his.
The short one he has, the climate change anatomy of a myth.
Here, let me. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm just gonna do it.
Oh wait, no, he's got a whole series.
Yeah, he's got a whole playlist, and it's great. The first couple videos, it's actually one of the channels I highlighted on my channel right here at the top, Potholer54. Go to his playlists, and climate change explained and the myths debunked. So the first video explains how what climate change is and how it's complicated and how we know about it, and all the following videos, which he's got like dozens of them, they all treat different myths that have been propagated in the internet about climate change. So all any myth you've ever heard from a climate denier, it's in there.
Yeah, wow, there's a lot.
Also alarmist. Like he exposed why like people like Al Gore and some of the stuff they said was not accurate, and he's a scientist. He tries to be bipartisan, and he tries to call out people on both sides when people on both sides are wrong. But there's not a whole lot of that, unfortunately, on the left.
Okay, because he's got this one here, Gore versus Durkin. Is that the one you're?
Yeah, so that's where he's like, yeah, the alarmists that say in 10 years that cities are going to be flooding, that's not true.
No, they don't. I don't think they've ever said that. What they've said is that that's the point of no return.
Yeah. Well. Anyway,
it's been like I think it's been misinterpreted, but people have said that in 10 years. That's the point at which,
that's
like,
the kind of stuff he debunks, though. He's very, very concerned about climate change. He's not a skeptic, but he does want it to be scientific. We shouldn't be hyperbolic about it. We should be real based on the science.
All right, well, I'll check his shit out more then.
Yeah, it's good. And the Origin series, like, just, to me, like, growing up in young Earth creationism, like, I didn't get a science education. So I got a science education from him. His origins and evolution videos, freaking awesome. He has really good responses to creationists, that kind of stuff. So it's a good channel.
Oh.
But anyway, I replied on one of his videos just saying that, hey, you need more content. I wish you had a Patreon because I would donate $100 a month just to get more content out of you. And he replied saying that, no, I asked for a charity, and the charity is motivating enough. If you donate to the charity, I'll do more content, basically. I was like, shit, okay. But
I found you like to debate on your stream, right? On your channel.
Well, so if you value truth, I think you kind of need to. You need to be discussing with people you disagree with.
Fair. Definitely. I found a guy that, well, I don't know if you may have seen it actually. Vosh debated some conservative cop the other day, and I went to his channel, and he seems to be the only conservative who isn't a grifter I've ever seen on the internet. It's amazing, and he's got like 300 subs. Might be a good guy to tee off against.
I like challenge people everywhere I go now because I just want as many people on as I can, and not very many people take it. It's amazing how much shit people are willing to talk until they get up there. But would be glad to talk to him. Anybody else? I mean, grifters too. I don't freaking care. Fascists, I'll take.
Grifters are fun.
It's not hard to expose them. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're fun.
Absolutely. So we got to talk about Iran. Yay. Here, let's start with the Google Maps. I like my Google Maps. Actually, I have an image I made. I was spreading this on Facebook days ago, and I tweeted it. If you're not following me on Twitter, why the fuck not? It's Re-Vera Life, and I have it in the description. Okay, check this out. So I put outlines here just so it's easier to see, but obviously Russia up here, second largest military. Third strongest military, China. They're both strong allies with Iran. They were doing joint military exercises a fucking week ago. Today, I don't know if you saw the headline, but Russia offered Iraq its like top tier air defense system.
Sorry, say it again.
Russia offered Iraq its top tier air defense system. Iran probably already has it. Like all these conservatives talking about war like it's going to be easy. I think they think Iran's a bunch of goat herders or like insurgents with AK-47s and RPGs like ISIS was.
They can't possibly think that. There's like
these are conservatives we're talking about, so I wouldn't say it can't possibly.
I mean, you're right. You're right. They are idiots.
Yeah, it's look at like just in terms of tactical thinking here. Vietnam is like way down here, which was farther removed from Russia, but fairly close to China. It was a long war. We lost. We left. Iran is pretty close to both China and Russia, so they can be supplied from them pretty easily. United States is way the fuck over here. Now, we have bases there, but those bases are prepped for insurgencies. Like, they're not prepped for a full like war with Iran.
Yeah.
So we can't react as fast when we're across the freaking planet from there. It costs us more to send stuff there. There's more supply line issues. Like if Russia and China were to get involved in a stronger way, like they have subs. Iran has subs. They can sink ships.
Don't we have aircraft carriers in the or sorry, don't you have aircraft carriers in the area?
Does Canada even have aircraft carriers? My dad.
No, Canada.
My dad's, a Canadian, so he used to tell the joke that he heard that Canada's Air Force was just increased by 33%. Yeah, they bought a third Cessna.
Yeah.
Which is it's a good thing.
We've got our own debacle with buying fucking those new trash planes that Boeing was trying to sell. What the fuck are they called?
Just realized my camera was covering up the important part of my image here.
F-18? No. What the fuck are F-35s? Yeah, F-35s.
So yeah, Iran's this part. Now let's look at the actual Google map.
Iran.
So Iraq is over here, and you'll notice it's a lot flatter. It's desert, which makes it really easy for a ground invasion. We can roll tanks across and just dust up like crazy, and we did.
Yeah.
And Syria's over here, and Afghanistan's over here, and have not been successful in Afghanistan. We've been trying for 2 decades, and we're still there. Why? Because it's mountainous. Well, so's Iran. Iran is a fortress of a country. They are surrounded by mountain ranges. It's a pretty mountainous country. Like we might be able to level their cities, but they're pretty dedicated people. They're not going to just give up because we hit a couple targets. So, full-scale war with Iran would be very bad. I've been kind of following it pretty closely. Have you seen recent developments?
Yeah. That they just shot some missiles at the Iraqi base.
Yeah, so they hit at least 2 bases. And I think Bo of the Fifth Column was right. He just released a video that was really good. That Iran responded. They didn't react. They took several days. They thought about it. And they reacted in an intentional way. And they did damage. It sounds like there were no U.S. casualties, which gives us a chance of de-escalating. I don't know if Trump's going to take it, but he can say, well, lucky for you, you didn't kill any of our service people. So, I'm going to leave it to Iraq whether to respond for the Iraqis that were killed, because I'm pretty sure some Iraqis were killed. But I doubt he'll do that. He's promised, and this is why you shouldn't have an idiot in charge of foreign policy. He promised to hit 52 targets, including cultural sites.
Yeah. So, he's backed away from that, though.
Has he?
Cultural. Yeah, I heard it on the radio on my way home from work.
Well, fortunately, everyone knows he lies a lot, so maybe he won't feel constrained by his word.
Yeah. To me, it seems like the real question is why Trump thinks this will help him, because that's the only reason Trump does anything.
Wag the dog. It's been trending on Twitter ever since he killed Soleimani. Wag the dog just means that, for anyone who's not familiar, it's basically saying that you're causing a war in order to distract from issues at home. So it's that's it's distracting from his impeachment, but if anything, even his base, there's got to be at least a portion of them that are seeing through this or that are pissed off about it. Yep. No, the heat's been picking up on this impeachment thing since Nancy did the smart thing of not releasing the impeachment to the Senate. That means that the concern on the GOP side, they pretend they're not concerned because they don't want to give her leverage. But they know that by holding it, if more evidence is released, they can add more articles of impeachment. They can add to the case while it's still in the House.
Right. And there's still a couple open investigations in committee, are there not?
There's been a lot of news. There's been more emails uncovered. There's been interesting developments in the Ukraine case. So Trump's sweating here. They want to get this thing wrapped up and put a bow on it as soon as possible. And Nancy's not playing along, which is like the one fucking good thing she's done in her whole goddamn life, I think. But
Yeah.
anyway, so Iran is a convenient distraction from that. Iran is promising if Trump responds to this attack today, that they're going to hit Dubai and a city in Israel, as well as wherever the attacks come from.
Jesus.
Yeah, so the world's tallest buildings in Dubai. I don't know if you've seen Dubai. It's a very rich city. Seems like a pretty soft target. The thing about the strike today was they hit a military target. It was a tough target. They could have went for civilians or something. They didn't. They still are maintaining the moral high ground, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you seen the Fox News Trump line on it all? They're saying that a contractor was killed by Iran, and that this general was in charge, and therefore he was justified. And they say this, the embassy attack happened unprovoked or whatever, and that so therefore it was justified. So I mean, so they can, if they can give their base, any reason to believe that, this is morally acceptable, then
yeah,
that's what they're going to
base.
cling to.
This is the frightening part about Trump is the loyalty of his base, because I discuss a lot with people on Facebook, and they're not abandoning him. They're it's amazing. Like all these people who you would think would have learned something from Iran. I shared this article on my Facebook. I think it's very apropos. America is guilty of everything we accuse Iran of doing, which is 100% true. The only difference is we're guilty of it many orders of magnitude worse. Like they'll talk about how Soleimani killed several hundred Americans. Yeah, but he didn't kill civilians. He wasn't a terrorist. He was a foreign general, orchestrating military activity in his region, and we assassinated him. So, it's not like he was coordinating hits on civilians, because he wasn't. He was coordinating militias to defend the region, and obviously that's the opposite of U.S. interests according to stated policy. But why do we have interest there at all? Why are we even there? We were lied into a war, and we're still there. I really it seems like it's just oil in the military-industrial complex. Because what would really happen if we just got out of the region, almost entirely? Maybe leave a couple bases in friendly places. Maybe Iraq allies with Iran, and we get less oil from them. We don't need their oil anymore. We're basically energy independent, and we can get more energy independent with renewables very quickly.
Yeah. Well, Israel is at risk if America leaves.
They're at risk if we start war with Iran. They're going to hit Israel because of this.
But Israel's happy about this.
Well, yeah, they want Israel, and the GOP and the establishment in Washington has wanted war with Iran ever since they overthrew the puppet state that we installed after we killed their democratically elected leader in '53.
Yeah.
So, for decades and decades, they've been wanting war with Iran. And yeah, the stocks for the military-industrial complex companies have been spiking with this news. Big surprise. So, but if you're concerned about the war in Iran, you and I can't do anything about it directly. The only thing we can do is campaign for Bernie motherfucking Sanders. I talk about it a lot, but it's true. There's a lot can happen before you could possibly get into office, but we don't have any control over that. If we can get him in office, he can start undoing the fucked up shit Trump does. If we don't get him in office, it's going to be more and more of the same. So, let's get him in office.
Let's get him in office.
Good gracious. 4.9 earthquake in Iran. What? What? That would be odd.
4.9 is not really enough to
Well, yeah.
fuck up.
No, I've been. I'm in California. I know about earthquakes. I was here in the 1989 earthquake, which was like a 6.8 or something.
Jeez.
And the Napa earthquake a couple years ago, I woke up for that. A little shaking. Nothing even fell off a shelf. That was like a 4.9. So, yeah, 4.9 isn't bad, but it does seem like a bit of a coincidence. Like, is that because of a strike or that wasn't reported? Or maybe it's just a coincidence. It is a mountainous region.
Are they on a
probably
plate?
Tectonic plates there, I would imagine. Just by looking at the lines there.
Or a fault line?
Well, let's check. I love the internet.
Google Earth.
Anyway. Yeah, 4.9 isn't much. I would only wonder if there's something else. Like I suspect like US bunker buster missiles might possibly be measure on the seismic scale. They penetrate 15 meters of solid rock before they explode. That's got to do something.
Jeez. 2019.
5.5, Iran and Afghanistan. Oh, that was January 1st. So that was a week ago. And then again, just...
well, that makes sense.
That was 4.9. So yeah, apparently they've had a few. Unless it's like underground nuclear testing. Ugh. That would be bad. But I'm pretty sure they don't have nukes. There's been a lot of... The thing a lot of people don't understand about nukes, it's you can't really get nukes without intelligence finding out. There's too much involved. You need significant apparatus, and they put off a radiation signal that's detectable. It's like basically impossible to do it on the low. And they were complying with the nuclear deal for a couple years, and they had inspections. So the chance of them having nukes they developed on their own is zilch. Now, they are allies with Russia and China, so, who knows. Anyway, that is what that is. Well, that's the thing. Like, speaking of the World War III has been trending, obviously, on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure I used the hashtag a couple times myself. Obviously, I would say it's obvious that the chances of a hot World War III with WMDs is higher now than it was a week ago, thanks to Trump. It's still very, very low. Like, a lot of people have this image that's not accurate of other countries, that they're like crazy people that don't give a crap about, but they do. Like, Kim Jong-un is not an idiot. He doesn't want his whole country turned to glass. Like, he has nukes as a deterrent. There's zero chance he's gonna start shit with the U.S. for no goddamn reason. And that goes double for Russia and China. They have a lot to lose. So nobody wants a superpower battle. Like, nobody wants war between superpowers. I think the most probable escalation is just a proxy war, like Vietnam, where we attack Iran, we try to take it over from the ground. Well, Bo gave the whole progression. Like, it starts tit for tat, it escalates. We start having jets flying over, hitting targets. Eventually, they shoot down one of the jets, capture pilots, and now we have justification for a ground invasion to try to rescue the pilots. And it's just how it happens. And then once we're there, there's they retreat to the mountains and the caves, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, I don't know if there's the stomach for that anymore, though.
There's not.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Trump finds a way out of it, because so far he's just been retaliating based on ego. So I think there is a good chance, and that's another risk we have to keep in mind, is if he brings us to the brink of war with Iran and then negotiates a deal, which Iran is pretty sure they're open to. They don't want war. They did their strike, so they've kind of, at least they feel like they did something. If he negotiates a deal, that's going to help him politically. He likes to do this. He starts fires and then puts the fire out and takes credit for it. He's done it several times. But it just depends on how smart Trump is. And I hate leaving anything to the intelligence of Donald Trump. Alrighty. Well, that's Iran for you.
That's a run.
See if there's any other news here real quick.
I'm interviewing an Iranian comrade of mine, or that I met a few months ago. Soon, we're going to talk about it.
Is he from Iran or is he in Iran?
He's here in town, but he's from Iran, and he's Kurdish, and he's a leftist. So
interesting.
So he's actually doing his doctoral thesis on I can't remember, but something to do with how the Iranian government oppresses the Kurdish population there.
Yeah, that was one of the most disturbing things that Trump did. And also the biggest thing I disagree with Secular talk about. He was just saying, let's get out, let's get out, let's get out. And it's like, yes, but we really should protect the Kurds. Like, we need to make sure they're safe before we just abandon our allies that have been working for us for 2 decades, trying to earn themselves some human rights and, some legitimacy as a people. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation. I'll definitely want to watch that. It's interesting because I've talked, like everybody else I've talked to, they're like, oh, I know somebody from Iran and they hated Soleimani and they think it was a great thing that we killed him. And it's like, I happen to be familiar with this dynamic, but I'm pretty sure you can look it up. I think there's stats on this. Most of the time when you have immigrants from a country, they are exceptionally loyal to the country they moved to, and they will shit talk the country they moved from because they're trying to buy social capital, basically. My dad was a huge patriot, American patriot type for my whole time growing up, because he came here from Canada, and I think he wanted to show that he believed in America type of thing. So when people tell me that they're Iranian bad buddy, what he thinks, it's like, okay. I might take it more seriously for somebody in Iran.
Yeah, exactly.
But your friend there sounds like a pretty cool guy. And if you know people, he might know people in Iran, so you can give us the real scoop and how much of it.
Oh yeah, he was just there, 6 months ago. Oh. He's here for school.
Oh, I was like, tell me this isn't Hillary speaking right now. But no, it's an old video. Alrighty. All right. So that's the trending information. I feel like I don't have a whole lot else to say about it. What happens, happens. Hopefully, all we can do is advocate for peace. If there's a war protest going near you, definitely should get involved with that.
Yeah. I don't think there is any near me. You know what? I could probably have a look, see.
Yeah, I looked for one near me on
I'm sure
Saturday, but there
Toronto will
wasn't.
have one.
Yeah. Alrighty. All right. Well, we wanted to get into the actual original purpose of the stream before Trump ruined it all for us.
Yeah, yeah.
I posted a channel intro, and Swoletariat was kind enough to find it interesting. And for anyone in the chat currently who's not familiar, didn't watch it, you might wonder what Re-Vera is all about. Excuse me. Re-Vera means truth matters in Latin. It could also mean in reality and a couple other things. I'm not a Latin expert. But I wanted to name my channel Truth Matters because it's always been kind of my slogan. And it's, of course, claimed everywhere. So I use Re-Vera instead. But it's the concept that truth matters and it should matter. When I talk about truth, it's important to use definitions. And it's an accurate knowledge of reality is what I mean by truth. And it seems pretty obvious if you think about it logically that having more accurate knowledge of reality would lead to a greater probability of achieving success in reality. And yet, a lot of people don't think about critical thinking and an intellectually honest search for truth and epistemology and stuff like this when they are thinking about their problems in their own lives. But that's actually what helped dig me out of the position I was in. I was unemployed and had a bunch of problems in my life. And I applied critical thinking to solving those problems, and it's been very effective for me.
Yeah, and the critical thinking part is, like I was mentioning the other day, is something that struck me because I think of myself as someone who knows how to critical think. I went to university. I got a degree, and I've even taken, I think, literally a class on critical thinking in college, which I kind of thought was hilarious. But yeah, and it's one of those things that I guess someone like me applies to, their beliefs, politics, philosophy, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to their own life, my own life, I probably am not doing it to the degree that I could be.
I don't think any of us are. Like, I'm not necessarily. Like, every once in a while, I'm like, why have I been having this problem for several months and I didn't actually think about it and try to solve it? Because I know I can if I put in the effort. So it is something that every once in a while we need to gotta kind of reappraise and look at it. So to start with, I feel like an important heuristic. So in terms of critical thinking, if you want to be perfectly intellectually rigorous and go through everything, it would take a tremendous. It's an unending process, and we have limited time energy. So that's why I say heuristic, because what that means it's like a thinking shortcut to get where you're going faster. So I think that's important when it comes to critical thinking. And one of the heuristics is that being methodological is important. I didn't have math classes really because I was homeschooled since the first grade. But I hear they tell you that you have to show your work sometimes. Is that accurate to your experience?
Showing my work in terms of
in math,
math?
how you got
Hell yeah.
how you got to the answer.
Well, yeah, and in fact, showing your work is. I remember that's one of the things I had trouble with in high school. In high school, English teachers, anytime you had to write a paper, they would ask for your rough draft. And I would be like, well, what do you mean? I just wrote the paper and I corrected it as I went. But I guess they counted the rough draft as showing your work. To somehow prove, I guess you didn't I don't know, steal from someone else or someone else wrote your paper.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why showing your work's important, and I think it extends far beyond math to basically every subject, because you can get to the right answer the wrong way, and you could get to the wrong answer. Well, you can't get to the wrong answer the right way. Like, the method is what matters. But you can guess the right answer. You can cheat and get the right answer. Or you might be just get there through luck. And when you show your work, when you show your thought process behind it, and you go methodologically, and this leads to this, leads to this, and leads to this, and this is my answer, then other people can look at your process and be like, well, this right here is the problem. And the logic works the same way. That's why we have premises, and it's a methodological way of thinking. You have premise 1 leads to premise 2, leads to premise 3, which leads to conclusion, right? And when you map it out like that, it makes it easier to have a conversation with somebody you disagree with, because you can be like, yeah, premise 2 right there, that's what I disagree with. It makes it narrows the field and makes it a lot easier to have a discussion with people who you disagree with.
Yeah, well, definitely in terms of arguments.
Okay, I think old news. At least there's nothing popping up here. So anyway, I decided to try and be methodological with the problems in my life. So I kind of started thinking about, like, okay, my life's fucked up in a lot of ways, but what's most important? And through thinking about it, I came up with a kind of a guideline that's been very useful to me. Kind of a, you could call it a heuristic itself, but it's just a kind of a way to be methodological about it. So you have step 1, define the problem. And it's easier said than done. But you got to start somewhere. The better you are at this step, the easier the rest of the steps are. It does take, introspection skills. A lot of times what you think is the problem is really just the symptom. You're familiar with that.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes it's helpful to get a third-party opinion on it if you don't have a whole lot of time. So, definitely therapists, counselors, friends, if you can talk to them about the problem, they might be like, yeah, well, there might be other things going on here. You might be blaming the fact that you're gaining weight on the donuts you eat, but you have been really depressed since that breakup. There might be something else going on.
Actually, that's one of the funniest things I have to deal with as a personal trainer nutritionist is people, the excuses I hear for not losing weight.
Yeah,
that's always the funniest part.
Well, and that's the important part, because if you don't figure out the real, like, what's keeping people from being successful, then you're not going to actually help them change. So, I took a 2-year class in hypnotherapy, and I'd like to get into helping people. I would ask somebody their experience, what have they done before, what was most successful, why do they feel like it failed, and kind of get introspective about them and their situation to try to figure out triggers and associations and as much as I can about them before I try to tailor a solution to them. But step 2 is find the solution. Pretty basic. This is where critical thinking really comes in, though, because if you ask 10 people, you're going to get 12 solutions, right? So using the process of critical thinking and weighing evidence, like if one person tells me, oh, you just got to, take meat out of your diet, and the other one person says, no, you got to eat nothing but meat. Well, you might want to weigh the two in terms of, like, what evidence do you have? Like, who's proposing this? Or do you have scientific studies? You have to weigh the difference between the solutions, because we're trying to find not just a solution, but the best solution available at the time.
Yeah.
And then implement the solution. And this is where a lot of mental discipline type skills come into play, and understanding how habits work, how we make habits, how we can break habits. learning how we learn, depending on the specific problem we're talking about here. You know, this 3-step process looks super simple, but it's just a way to kind of narrow your focus into the specific elements of getting better as a person. So after you've done this for a minute, step forward be to kind of reassess and see where you're at. There we go. And if your problem still persists, you have to ask yourself, did the solution fail or did the implementation fail? So if you feel like you did a pretty good job of implementing, then it's time to go back to the drawing board and see if maybe you failed at step 1 or 2.
It wasn't the right solution.
Or maybe you're trying to attack the wrong problem. So you got to kind of go back and reassess. But if you're failing in implementation, well, now that you make that its own problem, you're like, okay, I don't seem to be able to do what I need to do. So I'm going to make that my new problem. I'm going to find a solution to that. And that's when you go and you learn how to create habits and break habits and stuff like that. So like once you have a simple process like this, I really recommend to everybody, especially, you know, kind of the new year period of time here, that you think about, like, what would my life be better? What would make my life better? What are problems in my life that if I solve them would make my life better? You know, maybe it's, you know, I need to find a girlfriend. Maybe it's, I need to find a better job. Maybe I want to get promoted at work. You know, maybe I'm just not very happy and fulfilled. I need to find something that's fulfilling. You know, there's practical problems. I'm falling behind on my bills. I have health issues. You know, whatever problems we have, we kind of just put them all down. Like write them down, open yourself up a doc, and then you can kind of prioritize them because you can't focus on everything all at the same time. And in my situation, when I was unemployed, everything was crap. It was like, I have to find a job. That was like number one thing. I got to fix my financial situation before I fix anything else. So like once you kind of get it all written down, it makes it easier to prioritize and think about it in a more methodological way.
So what had you been doing wrong before that prevented you from, you know, getting a job or to help your financial situation, or what were you doing wrong in your job search that that you changed?
Well,
Through this method.
Yeah, there's a lot. So to start with, like in terms of worldview problems that were a hindrance, there was a lot. So I mean,
so your worldview was hurting the way your life was turning out.
Yeah, you definitely. I believed in a higher purpose for my life. I believed in prayer. I felt betrayed by the fact that everything I believed in was falling apart and not like I was doing everything I was supposed to and it wasn't working. And I prayed and nothing was happening. And that was certainly part of it. And the disappointment from that was causing depression that made me not want to do anything.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't as methodological about it. I wasn't, you know, I would get discouraged. I literally did a couple times call everybody in the phone book in construction, like anywhere anywhere I could bust to. I checked the wanted ads, but I would do it like every couple of months or so. Like I'd get motivated for a second, I'd go to it, and then I'd give up. And there's a lot of negative self-talk. You know, when you're looking at the wanted ads, I'd look at it and it would say driver's license required, and I'd be like, oh, fuck, because my driver's license was suspended because I couldn't pay my registration and insurance and I got a ticket. Couldn't pay the ticket. So, well, I won't call them. Or it would say 2 years of, an associate's degree required. It's like, well, fuck, I don't have that. Or they'd say 2 years of experience required. And I'm like, oh, well. And I like, wouldn't even try. But, logically speaking, I should have been like, playing World of Warcraft has absolutely zero chance of helping me out. Like, it's better to be calling these people, even though I don't fit the requirements, and trying to sell them on what I can do. And if I'd done that more, I probably could have got a job sooner. But
that's actually a big thing they tell you, is that even if you don't fit the qualification, like the qualifications they list are their kind of wish list. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the only thing an employer will take. Definitely. Which is really fucks with people looking for jobs, because it does not, like, when you say these are the requirements, but they're not actually the requirements, like, that can really be discouraging.
Yep. And I just didn't apply to any of them. But once I started this, once I went through this process, and there was a lot that went into my kind of worldview change. And I'd been, for several months, I'd been kind of changing. I'd been researching. I'd been opening my mind. I'd been learning about critical thinking. And the trigger was I was given an ultimatum. I was staying with somebody for free in exchange for remodel work. But there hadn't been much work for a while. So he was just kind of like, okay, you've been here for a while. You've got a month to get a job or you're out. And he didn't say, like, I'm going to evict you in 30 days. He's like, if you don't have a job, you'll be evicted.
Oh.
So I was like, he was a really good guy. I really, I would have been probably homeless if it wasn't for him. So, the kick in the pants was needed. And so I went back to the wanted ads, and this time it was like, okay, this shit's real. And I'm going to take anything I can get. Does not matter. I just need to be able to say I have a job. And I got... there was one ad that said it guaranteed $2,000 a month, and no experience was required, no education, no car, no driver's license, nothing. It's just guaranteed as long as you fulfill the requirements. I was like, great. So I went there. There was this whole training thing with like 20 people that showed up, and it was how to sell Kirby vacuums door to door. Are you familiar with Kirby vacuums by any chance? Are you still here? Did I lose him? Looks like he's still here. Hello?
Hey, are you still there?
Yeah, there you are. Hello.
Shit. Yeah, I about a minute I lost of that, whatever you were saying.
Yeah, I asked you something and you didn't respond, so I figured that out. No, I was desperate to get a job, so I was willing to take anything I could get, and there was an ad in the wanted section that said they guaranteed $2,000 a month with no requirements necessary. So I went there, and I was selling Kirby vacuums. Ha! Are you familiar with them?
Well, I'm familiar with anytime an ad says guaranteed money per month and no requirements. I'm familiar with that being sales jobs, walking door to door. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in multi-level marketing, so the direct marketing type of thing was fairly close. Like, I was familiar with the culture, and it was a job, so I took it. It turned out like the first trip we were out on in the van, because they like go all together in a van. You meet in one place, you pile in a van, they dump you off, you go around knocking on doors until you get a demo, you call the van, they bring you a vacuum. It's like this whole thing. But like the first day, the one of the people in the van's like, oh, are you still on that guaranteed commission plan? Because that's horse shit. I was like, well, what? Like, oh yeah, because you're not gonna, in order to get the $2,000, you have to set 60 demos in a week or in a month, and nobody does that. So if you go to the other commission plan, you get like twice as high commissions, but there's no guarantee. I was like, oh, well, if we're not going to hit it, you kind of don't, it's total bait and switch.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee, because I assumed, like everybody that's 60 demos, they're going to be giving you leads, and they're going to be like sending you to houses, but there's no leads. Like, you have to go around knocking on doors
Yeah.
and like
Cold.
introducing yourself and being like, hey, I'm offering free carpet cleanings. And then like you get your way in the door to clean a carpet, and then you like do this whole presentation before they can kick you out. It's kind of a wild business model.
Yeah.
But it was a job.
I've done that before.
Have you?
Selling what the fuck? It's driveway sealant.
Oh, actually, I sealed driveways before.
I sold maybe like 2 or 3 total ever.
Well, I really needed it, so I worked it hard, and it was good for me. I sold a couple my first month, and I was able to take the money and rent a room in a trailer park. It was like a tiny little room in this like 40-year-old trailer with the sagging ceilings. But I was able to be in town, so I didn't have to ride the bus anymore, which is a huge step up. But trying to sell $2,500 vacuums door to door in a recession. They would let us, basically how their commission system was. Don't think I'm breaking any confidentiality agreements, and if I am, fuck them. But basically, we had a cost. They charged us $1,200 for the vacuum. Anything we got over that was pure profit. So if you sold a vacuum at $2,500, you pocketed $1,300.
Holy fuck!
Yeah,
and you could do that.
Yeah, and like that's we always started at $2,500, but like who's gonna buy a $2,500 vacuum? Like who's gonna buy a $1,200 vacuum? Like you end up selling a lot of like $1,300 vacuums and getting $100. Or you'd call it for an assist, and somebody else would come in and sell it for $800. Because what happens is the higher you get in the company, the lower your cost gets. So you'd have a $50 mini because they sold it for $600.
Right.
You know, this is in 2011. You know, the internet's starting to be more and more of a thing, and there's no follow up. Like if you left, you didn't go back because you know they're going to Google it and they're going to buy one on eBay for $450.
Yeah.
So it was just no chance. But I stuck with it for a few months, and the critical thinking, like it comes back into play here, because you know I've always been very susceptible to what I hear. I grew up kind of in a cult. I was homeschooled, very evangelical. My parents bought into a multi-level marketing company. I was actually largely my fault because I came across the propaganda and I was like, oh, this looks so cool. And I got my mom into it.
Oh, no.
She's still in it to this day.
Okay, so that's it. Like, growing up in a cult, doesn't it make you, like, I feel like it would make you much more susceptible to MLMs because they're very culty.
Yes. So every day we would meet in the office. They had like rah-rah songs. They had motivation. They're like, so this month we have this vacation package. If you fulfill the requirements, you win this vacation. And they'd talk about this person who is over in Los Angeles and she makes $150,000 a year. And
oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, yeah. Motivation. You're like, you know, rah-rah. And there was a lot of pressure to stay there. And the funny thing is, like I said, the recruiting class was like 15, 20 people. They were all gone within a week. And they actually had like 4 full-time people in this office. They had the owner, like 3 people, and then a full-time recruiter. So there's 5 people. And they would constantly recruit people. And if 1 or 2 of them stuck around for a few weeks, they're like, that's a win. But they're just trying to get recruits to like market to their friends and families before they quit, basically.
Yeah.
It's like the whole scam. But this is fortunately where the critical thinking came into play, because I went back to like, is this the best solution available for me right now? And I wanted to think it was. These people were my friends. I spent a lot of time with them. They seemed like they had stuff together. They believed in it.
Seemed
like it. But like the more and more I found about it, I started looking for like actual evidence. And, you know, no one's going to tell you how much they make, but I can see that a lot of days they're not selling vacuums, and when they do, it's not for very high. You can kind of start doing the math. And then I'm like, you know, like one of the guys was late, and we had to go pick him up, and I was like, oh, you know, what? Why were you late? It's like, oh, I missed the bus. Like, oh, So you've been doing this for 10 years and you ride the bus. Cool.
Yeah, seriously.
Cool.
Exactly.
Okay. And then the other guy who was the recruiter turned out the van that he drove wasn't his van. It was the owner's van who like let him use it. And he's renting a room and the other guy was renting a room. And there was one person who owned a house and she had like 3 roommates to help her make the mortgage.
What about all the BMWs?
Yeah, exactly. She drove a Mustang. She was the only one of the 5 of them that had the owner had like a Mercedes. He was making bank off of the rest of us. But
no doubt.
Of all the people selling, she was the only one who owned a car, and it was like a 12-year-old Mustang or something. It was like 20-year-old Mustang. What am I saying? It's pretty old. So
critical thinking got you through that.
Yeah, it got me to be like, cool that I'm doing something, and it got me out of my situation. And because I was living in Guerneville, which is like tiny little town far away from anywhere, it was making it really hard to find a job. Got me back into Santa Rosa, which is a much larger city, and that was increasing my opportunity, which was good. But I was weighing the possibilities, and on the one hand, I had the chance, if I could get promoted in this company, get my costs down to like the $600 range, and I can get a car, I felt like I could actually make a lot more money. I felt like I could make a full-time income. Like I was a pretty good salesman. I could do that. But whenever you're being offered an opportunity, I think it's important. I have high belief in myself, but we got to be realistic. So if I'm looking at 5 or 10 people, I might be able to do as good as the best of them. I'm not going to think I'm going to do twice as good as the best of them. Right? Like,
yeah.
Got to be a little bit more realistic here. So it was like, okay, maybe I should just look for another job. And I did. And this goes back into what we were talking about earlier with wanted ads. And I applied. I saw an ad for. I was like, maybe I should stick with sales because I have a little experience in it now, at least. So there was an ad for a car company selling cars, and they said that like 5 years experience required. But I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. And I called up and I talked to the general sales manager. And he said, well, unfortunately, we filled the position. We're no longer hiring. I was like, dude, I'll do anything. Can I clean cars? You got openings for detail? Can I sweep your lot? What do you got? You got to have an opening somewhere. He's like, well, our other store, the Hyundai store, might still have an opening. So he gave me the number over there. And I called in. I actually spent, before I did this whole process, I should say, I did this all very intentionally. I was looking for the best solution available to nailing interviews and resumes. So I read articles about doing your best resume. I watched videos about doing your best interview. I put a lot of work into that because I was expecting to have to interview at a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But I fucking nailed the first interview. And
Nice.
He not only hired me, but he gave me a $500 loan to help me get my driver's license back sooner.
Holy shit.
And
at what job?
As selling cars. And apparently this guy had never hired Greenpeace before. He only wanted experienced car salesmen before me.
What? Okay, so what do you think in particular helped you get that job right off the hop?
Well, I think the biggest thing, one of the things I read the advice was to not come off as too desperate. There's this whole aspect of psychology that we like to be chased. We don't like, you don't want to chase people too hard because they feel that it kind of chases them away when you're
comes off desperate.
Yeah, it comes off desperate. You want to make people chase you.
Same with relationships.
It's also can be true in relationships too, certainly. There's kind of a give and take, and it never is good to come off as too desperate. And I literally just wanted the job. I could care less about anything. It was a steady paycheck. It would be better than what I had. I wouldn't have to go around knocking on doors in the rain and in the heat and all this kind of crap. And the another reason, my allergies were acting up. I had dust allergies so bad. And I'm sitting here trying to sell vacuums. And I'm crying and snot all over the place. It was really bad. So I got to get out of this. So when I went in for the interview, I focused on asking him questions, like the whole interview. I didn't care about the answers to the questions, but I was like, you know, there was a Hyundai store. It's like, I don't see a whole lot of Hyundais on the road. Like, is there really much opportunity selling them? Like, oh yeah, Hyundai sales and blah blah blah. I'd go off on a tear about that, and it was like, are they really good cars though? And it's like, then he'd tell me about the cars, and it's like, well, like, how much do people here make? Like, how many cars do they sell? What's the commission plan? And I kept him talking for half an hour by asking questions. And by asking questions, that puts him in the position of trying to sell me on why I should work for him.
Ah.
And he was a pretty good salesman. So he sold the heck out of himself, basically.
Damn.
He actually ended up not asking me like hardly any. There's like 30 seconds where he asked me a couple questions. And I just like hyped the heck out of the fact that, hey, if I can sell $2,500 vacuums in a recession, door to door, I can sell cars. And then I'd like go back to ask him a question. So it kept him. He never got around to really digging into my background because it doesn't look good to have 3 years of unemployment on your record.
Yeah.
That never came up because I was able to control the conversation with questions. And that wouldn't have come up if I wasn't looking for like the best advice I could find, like what looked like empirically valid, what was based on psychology, of how to nail interviews and resumes and like stuff like that by looking for actual experts in the field.
So you practiced, studied up on this idea of asking them questions and getting them to talk and sell you the job.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then once I got the job, like it was like, okay, now my problem is I need to be good at this because it's a performance industry. Like they hire and fire people every couple of months.
Yeah.
So I had a very intentional approach to it. I every single time I got a customer, I would at the end after they left, I would go to the manager and ask them what they thought I could have done better. And that was just common sense to me because I'm thinking about how I can be better and how I can make more money and how I can make sure I keep the job. Apparently, people don't do that. Like, now that I've been a manager and shit, like most of the salesmen who aren't doing good, they're around the corner hiding. They seem to think that if the manager doesn't notice them, then they'll be safe or something. But that's not how it works in sales. They're looking at reports. If you're not doing well, they know you're not doing well. But people who are willing to learn and who ask for advice, like that's an employee that they're not going to get rid of. So the other thing is I wanted to be on good terms with all the other salesmen. So like I would ask them for advice. Some of it was good, some of it wasn't. But I also didn't want to antagonize them. So I wouldn't like take ups. They call it ups when somebody walks onto the lot. And there's, some salesmen who are going to compete with them and just kind of like almost fight over who gets to go to get the customer. I've seen people racing in front of other people, and I never did that. I was able to stay in the top 3 of sales for a good 3-year period without ever taking an up anybody else wanted. Which whenever everyone's busy, I'd get an up, or if there was an up that nobody else wanted, like if a single woman would come on the lot, the old car dogs, they're like, oh, she's not buying, she's not with her husband. So I'd go get her. And if an Asian came on the lot, old car dogs are like, I don't want any of that. You're not going to make any money off them. Like there's a lot of stereotyping that goes into car sales.
Is there any truth to any of it?
Oh, well, truth to what?
The stereotypes.
Oh, there's definitely, like, in terms of looking at somebody and figuring out, like making predictions, you can definitely do that to a certain extent. Like, the highest gross customer is, like, people coming in from rural areas, like Lake County from where we're at, and they're driving an older truck or something like that. It's like, oh, they'd be fighting each other for that up.
Yeah.
But, Asians and people from the Middle East, generally people from India, definitely have a reputation for being good and excellent negotiators. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
And that's a stereotype that comes across pretty often. It's not like nothing's 100%, but definitely some truth to it. And I think a lot of it's just because people that immigrate from across an ocean to here are typically more successful to begin with and more ambitious and more educated. So that all applies.
Well, that's true, but it's also true that culturally, North America is completely different than the rest of the world in terms of haggling and stuff. When we set a price, that's the price. But to them, a price is just a suggestion.
Yeah, yeah, and certainly like your average middle class or middle aged to older like American has a decent idea, and they usually they have some negotiation tactics. They don't do it every day, so they're typically not as good as you. But it was interesting that younger people, they would sometimes you would tell them the price and they're just like, oh, okay, yep, that's the one. And it's like, oh, sweet. So yes, maybe I should talk about buying cars since that came up. I am an expert. I've written articles on Quora about it.
Oh yeah.
And the most important thing to keep in mind when you're car shopping is the actual vehicle's value. We use KBB.
Kelly Blue Book.
Kelly Blue Book. You can search and see what the actual value of the vehicle is. And let's just pick.
But KBB doesn't take into account fucking mileage, does it not?
Oh no, it does. It takes everything into account.
Really? I remember last time I was looking, like there was some major thing that KBB did not account for. That seemed weird. I can't remember.
You can add more options here. You see, I'm skipping this because I just wanted to get to this window here. If you put everything in and you can edit options, then you're going to get a window that looks like this. And this is based off market data. So obviously, if you're in the red, this is too high. If you're in the green, it can be a good deal depending. But typically, if you shop enough and if you compare prices over a broader area, you can buy them at the bottom end of this or below. We have a ton of vehicles that are below the entire green market range because they've been in our lot too long. So that's more like a wholesale price. And if you buy something that's below value, it's going to depreciate less than the time you own it. So if it's worth $22,000 and you buy it at $20,000, then 2 years later it's going to be worth. You're going to lose $2,000 less than if you'd paid $22,000. It's fairly self-explanatory, really.
Mm-hmm.
But this is important because a lot of people come in and they're just like trying to negotiate off the price without keeping the value into mind. So you have people that come in and they're like, I want $3,000 off. And it's like, we're already down here. Like, we're already in the wholesale. Like, that's the price. Yeah. We're the lowest price in the area. And I've had people walk away because we wouldn't discount it $100. And it was the lowest price within a 500-mile radius. And it's like, where are you going to go and find a better value? That doesn't make sense. Yeah. You're going to go somewhere else to somebody who marks it up over here. So they're asking way too much for it. And then you're going to get a $3,000 discount. It's still going to be over here. And you're going to feel like you got something. But really, you still got ripped off. That's why the value matters.
Okay. So check out the Kelly Blue Book every time you're looking at a car.
Yeah. Anyway, since that came up. Yeah, it's I was planning on the car sales thing being just a temporary step up. I wanted to like fix my financial situation, pay off debt, and then go back to school and get a real job, basically.
Yeah.
I got started doing a hypnotherapy class certification online. I was thinking maybe I'd be a therapist because I do like solving problems. And I'd been doing it about 2 years when I finally, this whole time I thought finance managers and managers at the car dealership just made like, I would guess like $60,000 a year. And I was like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. and I found out how much they made, and I was realized that nothing else I could do would pay nearly as well. Like most of the college degrees don't pay that well.
Yeah.
Sales managers make six figures. Finance managers, some of them made $250,000 a year.
Jesus.
So I made that my goal to get promoted. I talked to the general manager, asked him what it would take. Sold the hell out. It was funny because I went to my general sales manager and I was like, I'd kind of like to be a finance manager. I hear it pays pretty well. What would it take to be a finance manager? And he was like, follow me. I was like, huh? And he like walked me right into the general manager's office. I'd never met him before. He was like the guy that managed the whole group. And he was like, hey, he wants to be a finance manager. It was like an impromptu,
Put you on the spot
interview. And then he just sat down and shut up. He like didn't say anything else. I was like, oh, is it my turn? It was pretty funny. But I was able to kind of ad-lib it. I talked about what I'd learned from hypnotherapy class, about how the mind works and how you changing belief systems and how that works, and made a positive impact. They didn't hire me. It took like a year and a half to actually get the promotion because it's a big promotion. But I had a positive impression, and they told me what I needed to do, and kind of worked on it, and became a finance manager. Made the big bucks. Stopped. A year ago this October, I was sick of doing it. Like I felt like I was ripping people off because I was.
Yeah.
And it was a massive like time energy commitment. Like it was 60 hours or more a week, and it was very, very stressful. Every single month you have to bring every day you have to bring your absolute A game. You're not allowed to have a bad day because like the dealership profits are dependent upon. So there's like 200-300 people at the dealership, like because it's a pretty big dealership in terms of all the office employees and techs and everything. But the entire sales portion of the dealership is dependent for profit on like 5 finance guys.
Jeez.
And like literally the statements collapse if you don't deliver. It's a central portion of the whole business model. So it's tremendous amount of pressure. And the stress was like literally killing me. I was very much over it. So when the GM asked me if I'd be interested in taking a pay cut in order to run the kind of digital marketing side of things, I jumped on it. So that's what I've been doing the last 14 months.
That's strange that he would offer you a job just out of nowhere that pays less.
Well, not really. I mean, if you know him and the situation, it wasn't odd. The person who was working there was retiring. And,
okay.
So he needed somebody. I have a little bit of a reputation as being like pretty intelligent and being technologically capable. Like in terms of who could have done the job at the dealership, I think I was the most obvious choice. So it wasn't crazy that he offered. I mean, he wasn't like, you need to do this. He was just like, this position came up, I thought of you. If you don't want to take it because it's less money, I understand. And but no, I took it. It's good for me. I feel like it opens up more opportunities because I learned more about the technological side of things. And I have a lot more time energy. I was able to make the thumbnail and post it from work because, I have my own office. Nobody sees what I do there. Don't tell my boss. Is he watching right now? Probably not.
Do they know you're a communist? A dirty communist?
I have a Bernie sticker on my water bottle. And on my truck. I don't hide shit. I know the owner is a huge Trump supporter. Bernie.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So I bring this everywhere I go. No, actually, they all know. I don't hide it. I don't feel like.
Well, you know what? At least you're not a Hillary guy. They would probably have a bigger problem with that.
No, it's true. People, like I've talked to a lot of people on the right, and they usually respect Bernie. They appreciate his integrity.
Yeah, I think
even
that's
if they
true.
disagree with him on everything.
Okay, well, damn. That sounds like critical thinking success
Yeah,
to
just
me.
I highly recommend it. And if there's anything specific you want to talk about, uh, sometimes it's easier to talk about it specific issues, but that's kind of the framework I use to kind of dive into things to start with. But
Okay, well, I mean, let's go down that track then, because you like problem solving. Maybe you can help me with something similar. So I am a personal trainer and nutritionist,
awesome.
and for my work is it's kind of like sales in that it really depends on you know how many clients you have at a given moment, or
Totally.
what time of year it is sometimes. And there's ups and downs. Like early summer, I was killing it. I was making bank. I had lots of clients. But by the time about Christmas, late or early winter rolled around, I had a bunch of people drop off and cancellations, and now I'm late on rent.
Mm.
I'm gonna have rent in a week or two, but that being 3 weeks late on rent is not good. Landlords don't like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Uh,
stress. That's no fun.
it's a lot of stress. So I mean, there's things I do to get clients, and
Yeah, just
if
to
we
back
define
up
the
a sec,
problem.
like what kind of like are you an independent? Do you work with a gym? Do you work out of a gym? Like what's your kind of work
Okay,
arrangement?
good. That's a good question. Okay, so I work at two gyms, one of which I'm an independent contractor, and I have to get all my own clients. It's basically all on me. But the money per client is much much better when I get clients, because I'm only paying a small rental fee basically
That's
for the
cool.
gym. Yeah, that's I love it, and I'm free to basically train however the fuck I want. There's nobody telling me what to do, how to do it. And then the other gym I work for, um, I applied to work at another gym, and I was misled slightly because they're kind of, as I came in, they were hemorrhaging their own clients,
Mm.
their own members. So basically they were hoping that I think I could help rebuild them. I haven't been able to do, like, I've made barely a dent there in terms of getting them new people, and I'm trying to do that now still. But so they haven't been, I
I
haven't
think
gotten much
January
money
would be a
out of.
good time in the gym industry, but
You'd think.
is you guys like have
um,
blizzards over there, so no one wants to leave their house, or I don't know what the weather's like over where you're at.
we all our blizzards we had in fucking December for some reason. Right now it's pretty mild. It's been mild the past few weeks, which is
Mm.
strange. But a lot of those New Year's Eve resolutioners, I think they all end up at like your Planet Fitnesses and your the big box gyms, or at least most of them are, because I haven't found it very easy to get clients at that time. I have a potential new client this week, which is good, but that's just one.
Awesome.
I need, I'd like to have a roster of, if I've got, five clients, I'm comfortable. If I have 10 or 15, I'm rich.
Right.
I mean, if I had a full roster, I can be making, 90 grand, 100 grand a year. That's unlikely to get a full roster, but it's possible.
Right.
There's a couple people in my gyms that are there or close to there. So my
Definitely.
problem is I don't have enough clients. At least that's the problem. That I mean, there's probably other reasons, obviously, in what I'm doing that are
Yeah, there's a
affecting
lot of
that.
things that can other problems that can apply to that. The more people like you and feel they're getting success with you, the more likely they are to recommend you and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different potential mini problems that can be improved to that can apply to the whole thing. Uh,
Right.
I would highly recommend uh, hypnosis.edu. I always thought if I went back to being a trainer, I'd want to learn more about how the mind works because
Interesting.
if you can understand how habits are made and broken, and you can market that, that does give you another angle above other personal trainers. And
True. True.
this the hypnosis.edu, they have I think they still have it. They had a like 8 hours of free training that was very thorough. See if they still have it. Like it actually gave you a really good start to understanding some stuff.
It's funny. A friend of mine actually just did a weekend course or a week long course or something. He completed a course in hypnosis recently, a few months ago. He's I don't know what and I actually trained him briefly.
I've had a good, like it's really helped me out. There's like it's you learn more about the mind and how it works. There is some bullshit associated with it. It's not too hard to screen out. Like this particular school, they do go into like handwriting analysis, and everything I've been able to see is like that's total bullshit. It's basically reading tea leaves. Yeah. But there's a lot of like just understanding personality types and how people learn, and the trance state. If you actually hypnotize somebody, is very interesting because basically all the neuroscience shows that when you're in a hypnosis trance state, it's not like you're asleep. You're actually more focused than you ever are at other times.
Interesting.
If you watch a movie and you get really into it and you forget about your entire surroundings, you're in the same state mentally. You're focused. And it's that same state you're going into. And my understanding that I've gotten from the course is there's two aspects to learning. One is repetition, and the other one is kind of the level of focus you have, the level of obsession, the level of impact something has. You know, you can have one extremely impactful event. Like for me, this actually happened to me. I was walking to church when I was like 12, and it was only a few blocks. It was like, well, I was like probably a mile away. It was a fairly safe neighborhood, so my parents let me go sometimes. And I'm sitting here like a good boy, major intersection, watching the light, and then it has the green walk symbol. And I took one step out, and this fucking RV came around the corner like 20 miles an hour, like inches from my fucking face, and almost killed me. So
Jesus.
that one event taught me to never trust the light without looking both ways. Yeah, that didn't need to be repeated because of how much of an impact it had on me.
Right.
And the trance state does something similar because it lets you people become more focused, and then what's said can have more impact on them. And that's why sometimes if you do well enough in like the interview stage and you understand the problem, sometimes you can solve major enduring problems in a single session. There's a lot of people who have completely quit smoking after they've tried for decades in one session of hypnotherapy.
Right. Yeah, I hear a lot about that.
On my part, I used to have a habit I've had ever since I was like 12 of basically pulling hairs out. It was kind of like an anxious habit of just like pulling hairs out of my face. It's called trichomania or something like that. And I tried to stop for years. I was very embarrassed about it. It would cause like skin eruptions, and like I'd have to shave really close so people didn't see how patchy it was. And I read a book on self-hypnosis, and I did like one session where basically I became focused. I got in the state, and then the specific routine that I used in this instance, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But I visualized going through a 6-month process of kicking the habit of where, I like battled. It was tough. I got a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. I went a day without doing it. I went a week without doing it. I visualized the calendar going by, and then I visualized not doing it for a while. And this was all in like one session of just imagining this, right? And then when I was done. Like I never did it again.
Smoking?
No, this was the trichomania thing, pulling hairs out.
Okay. Wow.
Which is a very obsessive habit. If you look it up, it's considered very difficult to break. I don't know why, but so
My ex used to pick at her She used to twirl her hair and pick at her nails
Yeah.
obsessively.
It's that kind of obsessive habit that people do, picking their nails, biting their nails. You know, it's one of those, that type of thing that's can be difficult to break. So I mean, it's learning the mental aspect. I think that it would help you be better at your job, but being better at your job doesn't necessarily get you more clients right away either.
Yeah, that's the thing. My most so I've noticed that, I mean, if I were to evaluate how I've been getting clients, the the majority has been through acquaintances, friends, and then people I know just through knowing other people type thing. It's almost like a big chunk of it has been kind of that networking, people are familiar with me type thing.
Right.
Or I taught them at one class, and then they asked me for a nutrition plan or personal training on their own after. Very few of my clients have been through cold, either advertising. Well, yeah, basically advertising. I've tried door to door, handing out flyers. That never really got shit. No money out of that.
Oh, well,
I've
good on you
tried.
for trying. It's not easy.
Yeah, I tried. I went to all the richest neighborhoods and still got nothing out of it. But I'm okay with, I make videos, right? And I think one of the ways I started videos was making fitness videos, and ads, short ads for my business, so that I
Right.
would put up on Facebook or YouTube. So some of those get reactions and some traction, but just not enough,
Yeah.
really.
What kind of area do you work out of? Is this like Toronto, or is this like small town, or is this like
Medium
how
sized,
populated
medium
is it?
sized city,
Is that like, I don't know what
small
medium
city,
size is to you, like 200,000 population, 20,000,
150.
150. Okay, so pretty decent, good population center. Uh,
And there's a lot of money in this town too.
that's
So
good, for you, because obviously, poor people, middle class people don't really hire trainers too often.
no, yeah,
Sometimes if they're super motivated, I worked with some, but it would be like, they weren't your big money makers. They'd do like 5 sessions and they're done.
yeah, yeah. No, in fact, I still every once in a while I get people. I have a client now who can't afford more than once a week. So
Yeah.
but he likes me. He likes coming. He likes feeling strong. He likes the improvements. And some other people will come for 2 weeks, 2 week, 3 sessions a week, and then can't afford anymore and they'll fuck off.
Right. Uh, yeah. So the analytical approach here is to think about the kind of audience you want. You want to narrow it down to people who are specifically looking. Uh, the personal aspect is the best way to do it if you can, for sure. Uh, and I would put a lot of thought into like popular people in your area. So if you could get like looped in at the local level as much as possible, and like all the local most popular people on Instagram and Twitter, and if you can get in with them and friend them and kind of hang out, if you can get kind of a local influencer to be a client, that would help you more than finding 10 regular clients.
That's true. That's a good point. I recently came to the realization that I probably need to get out more in the community, because I mean I have all these business cards,
Yep.
but I've been, barely handing any of them out because I'm not going to things. I'm not being around people most of the time. So except for my friends.
Yeah, there'd
So
be a lot of events. I'm guaranteeing. I know, like around here, there's always. It seems like every other week there's a 5K run, a 10K run, a marathon. There's gonna be like golf tournaments. There's maybe hikes. There, if you there's at the different meetup sites. There's like different kind of groups to get involved in.
yeah, I mean even non-active ones too. I mean
Yeah.
you just any event really. If you introduce yourself, oh hey, what do you do? I'm a personal trainer. I make people fitter and healthier and happier,
Yep.
stronger.
And definitely, if you're, you need to get people in like to take the first step. So, do you give out like free training sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty common in the industry. But That's a big thing. I'd get people in there and get them comfortable with you. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. That's
Definitely.
true. Once I get people in the door, like the retention rate is, 90%, 85%.
Yeah, and that's the fear. Like getting over the fear is why the door to door and like cold calling isn't working. Because there's like personal trainers can be scary to people. They think you're gonna beat them up or something, cause them pain. And
Yeah, it's true.
uh, just going to meet somebody met off a brochure or something is kind of tough. But if you can go to a little bit more social kind of events and kind of meet people and break the ice a little bit, and then be like, hey, you should come by. I'll give you 2 free training sessions just to kind of get you started if you're interested. And
Yeah.
might get you more luck on this, doing something like that.
Yeah.
Do you
That's
have
a
a
good two.
website?
Actually, two is a good. Sorry, I do have a website.
That's helpful because if anybody you hand a business card or offers training sessions to, if they're at all curious, they'll probably look you up before they want to come in. So having a good website, having some good videos on it,
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
client testimonials, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I got all that shit. Another problem though, I think that people won't necessarily tell me, but I think is true is that because I have, well, A, my genetics, B, my I have IBS, and C, fat malabsorption. All these things make it really, really hard for me to gain weight and look like a personal trainer. Um, like for example, I just got sick. I got sick a week ago, and I've lost 10 pounds.
Oh wow.
So I mean, for me, it's really, really
Probably
hard
mostly
to.
digestive though. I'm sure. Yeah, I don't think you can lose 10 pounds of muscle that fast.
No, no, no. Wouldn't be, no, it's not muscle. It's. I mean, a small percent might be muscle, but it's going
Right.
to be water weight and fat.
Right.
Which for me, I need more of.
Yeah. No, I
And it's
kind of had a similar problem. My family, like, we seem to gain weight like up until like age 40. Like I'm a lot bigger, huskier guy now than I like broader shoulders, like bigger bone structure, like gain muscle naturally. Like it's just keeps happening. But when I was 20, when I was a personal trainer, I was very lean and did not look very muscular either. It's kind of a similar problem.
right. So people, you want to look the part
Yeah.
in almost anything you do, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it'd probably be easier to rather than fight that to not go for the bodybuilding audience.
Well, you're right.
If somebody
I'm
has
not
50 pounds more muscle than you, they might not want to go to you to gain muscle.
right. So, yeah, weight loss and that kind of stuff. Actually, I've had some success with glute. I have a glute building program. Um,
Cool.
I say it's for guys and girls, but I mean, it's obviously mostly girls that
Yeah.
are using it.
Cool.
Yeah. And that's been working out a little bit.
Right on. Uh,
The one thing
how
you
familiar
mentioned
are
was
you with SEO? Is this like a website you made yourself? Is this an like through your
I
company?
am familiar with SEO, and my ex girlfriend was actually a marketing. She was in marketing, and she's marketing now. Like that's what she does, and so she helped me with all that stuff.
Are you on Google Business?
Yep.
Okay, so you have the whole sidebar there and everything.
Yeah, I'm listed.
Yeah, keeping that up to date is super important. This is when you have a Google Business account. If anyone's watching, this sidebar here is all stuff you set in Google Business. It's like a mini website, and the lion's share of traffic comes from Google. Like I'm look at that's what I do professionally. I look at my analytics, and like 95% of it comes from Google. So it's very important that you rank at the top, which we do. We kind of always do.
Oh yeah, I looked into getting my rank
At
higher,
the top.
and there's just way too much competition in
Oh
my
yeah,
my
definitely.
city.
Yeah, no, we literally pay $2,000 a month in SEO.
To
Just
to bump up your
just in SEO.
Oh, for you're buying searches, terms,
No,
search
not
terms.
not search engine marketing. That's when you buy the clicks. Just for SEO, which is search engine organic.
Yeah, yeah, the terms. When people look up, personal training, this whatever city, then you take those words and you say, I'm going to pay this much per.
No, that's what's considered SEM. So when you're paying for
Oh,
clicks or you're paying for the ads that appear, like I'm not, it's not popping up here. I don't know why. Usually when I do a search, there's some ads up at the top. I was going to show what I'm talking about. Still no ads. What the fuck? Anyway, there's usually a couple ads at the top of the results. Those are paid for. That's considered SEM. And we pay like I don't know five to $10,000 a month in that. But we've been investing in SEO substantially. So there's literally like a full time guy. I think he manages a couple. It's not like he just works for us, but it's a significant time investment that just goes in there and does deep SEO work. So he's in constant competition with our competition, who also wants to be at the top, and he just constantly changing terms. He has to be familiar with like how the Google algorithm works. It's insane.
all the trends, keeping up with trends.
Yeah, there's a lot of different parts of the website in terms of coding that the Google spiders crawl over.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not in a position. Actually, I mean, I could eventually dump a bunch of money into that and see what happens.
Yeah, I think for any business, that's one of the most important thing. If there was like a larger business, I would like definitely want people to be at the top. But when you're an independent consultant, that's a little bit of a different situation, obviously. But the Google
Yeah.
business is important because if people search your specific name, you have the advantage of relevancy, and that relevancy is very important to Google. You can't really buy your way out of that. If somebody searches whatever your like brand is, you're probably going to pop up. So keeping your
Right.
Google business kind of profile up to date, and I think you can run promotions on there. You can have you can go in there like once a week and just make sure everything's right and put a new video up. Uh, Actually, Google really favors videos. They know that videos are important and they want to support those. So if you made regular content in term on YouTube, do you have a separate channel for your actual personal trainer?
I have a fitness YouTube channel as well. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean if you're putting in keywords and tags to try to make it as local as possible,
Ooh. Yeah.
that's gonna that can help you out a lot because
Oh, you know
anyone
what?
who's
Fuck.
like in your town who searches personal training might see your video because there's not going to be very many like recent videos made in your little town.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I One of my videos actually went kind of viral. It's got over 100,000 views.
Oh damn, nice.
I feel like I did a fasting video. Oh, because we talked about fasting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we were talking about that a little yesterday.
I should fucking yeah, change the tags on that to make sure they're uh they're
Yeah,
local.
from what Google says, the tags don't have very much impact anymore. But the description, the title, if you
The
put in
description.
training in your town in the title and then in the description, you want to mention your town in the title and in the description. You want to mention your county, any other like nicknames for the area, neighborhoods. Like you want to have as many ties to the local area in your title and description as possible, as well as in the tags. And that's going to increase your
Okay.
relevancy to anyone who searches it. You're more likely to pop up. Uh, so I think, yeah, that would help tremendously. Videos are important.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. That's well, that's a good idea. Um.
Yeah, I've thought about this kind of thing, because I've thought about starting my own business a few times. So it's important, and connections are everything. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the other. That's a good. What's the name of that fucking group? Blah blah blah. There's a business group that's like international. I'm trying to remember the freaking name of it. But I guarantee that there's meetings in your town where they meet like once a month. It's a networking group, and there'll be like 30 people from different industries, and they give each other referrals. So you go there and you meet a roofer, and you're like, hey, if I meet anyone who wants a roof, I'll refer him to you. And if you meet anyone who's looking for training, you refer them to me. And
Um,
I'm trying to
like Chamber of
define.
Commerce?
Chamber of Commerce meetings can be similar. It's not the group I'm thinking of. God damn it! I'll have to ask Tom at work. Tom's been doing it for a couple decades, and he gets like 5 car deals a month out of it.
Really?
Yeah. So it gets you want to get as many ties to the community as possible. So you might also try things like Toastmaster. That helps you public speaking, which you have a channel, so that's would be a good thing. Any way you can meet local people that are trying to better themselves, and Toastmaster, they're probably trying to better their public speaking. They might want to also better their body, so that might be a good thing.
Toastmaster. Does that cost money?
We went to it. It's very minimal. Very minimal, if anything. Usually, it's just like, any snacks or the cost of the room. It just depends on the local group. If they have a free place to meet, it might not cost anything. But they usually just split the cost. It's not a profit-making organization.
June 2011. Toastmasters in my city. Okay.
I think might be BNI with 240,000 members. But you can
BNI?
just search networking groups.
Okay.
Yeah, the videos, if you can just make a short little video as often as possible, it'd, like daily be helpful. But
just on YouTube?
Yeah, Google and YouTube. Google owns the world. It's gonna be our global oligarchs, and so they care about YouTube quite a bit. That's usually when you search. There's gonna be a couple videos like in the top bar here.
Yeah. Right.
And that's because they're trying to promote their own video content. Like, bam, videos right at the top. Videos over here. So if I search
Business Network International.
It didn't come up with videos. Yeah, might not be any locally. But yeah, like breaking it down, I think you've discovered that like trying to do cold marketing isn't very successful for you. But if you put a little bit of effort, not too much, if you can do quick videos without too much effort and not put too much effort into it, just kind of promote your brand, but put the lion's share of your effort into meeting people and breaking the ice. And also in putting everything you can into your current clients, because the more effort you put into them, the more results they have, and the more they're likely they are to introduce you to people. If you like really work them for referrals. Actually, this is something I learned in car sales. This trainer came by, best trainer that's ever come to our dealership, and he was kind of a spur of the moment thing. But this tip is genius, and I really regretted that I'm not a car salesman anymore, because I would have made so much money off this. And hardly anybody at work does this, but it would pay off huge if you did. So basically, after somebody's bought the car from you, they're happy. They wouldn't be buying the car from you if you didn't like him. You ask them, hey, how do you appreciate the experience? Now, in your experience, you would do it maybe after you've done a workout, like, not necessarily when they're done all their sessions, but you just ask a kind of a leading question. How are you enjoying the training so far? Yeah, they're probably going to say yes. And then you ask, by the way, would you recommend me to your friends and family? And they're probably going to say yes. And you're like, cool. Can you get your phone out? And you just like, okay, let's go live on your Facebook right now. And they're like, oh, but we've never gone live before. But since they already agreed to that they would recommend you to their friends and family, it's kind of this psychological tactic.
That's
of
such a dirty
small
trick.
commitments. Like you get a small
That's such a
commitment,
dirty trick.
bigger commitment, and then you go
That's
live on
how.
their Facebook, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm working out with my trainer over here, blah blah blah. It's having a grand old time." And if you can get people to do that, Facebook Live goes to more people in the algorithm than like anything else you can do. And especially
That's
if the person's never gone live, if you can like just, oh come on, let's just do it. It'll be fun.
that's how uh, that's how psychopaths get their victims to do what they want.
Well, it's true, but just because things
It
are
works.
used in a bad way doesn't mean we can't use it for. I've thought about this my whole life, the art of influence, because I realized when I was like 12 that there were no superpowers, right? So I was like, well, what kind of kids used to ask each other, like, and I'm sure they still do, like, what superpower would you want if you could have any superpower? But I was like, okay, well, what actual power that exists would be the most important in the world? And I came to the conclusion it would be influence, because, that's what makes things happen in this world. So that I've always been interested in the human mind and influence, and you can't control other people, but success is dictated by how influential we are to other people in terms of relationships, business, financial success, political success. We want to motivate people to our cause. We have to be good at exercising influence. So I'm never going to feel bad for influencing people as long as I'm influencing them in a good direction.
Now, so that little trick that you just mentioned, there will be people who will see through it and feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, some people will be like, "Oh, I don't want to do that right now." It's like totally fine. You want to just take a shot with me and maybe post it on your Facebook? Really appreciate it. Just to be completely honest with you, kind of struggling a little bit. I really need a little bit more brand recognition out there. I'd really appreciate some new clients.
It's helping out for marketing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like I am a big fan of honesty. I never lied as a salesperson, and I was very proud of the fact that I feel like lying's a crutch, and I found honesty helped me more than anything else did. I remember this one time I was a new car salesman, and I had an older couple. It was like a lay down car sale, like it was easy peasy. They were coming in to buy it, and they were working me for a discount. This particular car, there's only two of them, and we didn't really discount them much. But I was like, I'm sure I could get you the Costco discount. Do you have a Costco card? And they're like, yeah, I got a Costco card. I was like, cool, I'll get you the Costco discount. So I went to the manager, and he was like, you're not part of the Costco program. Chris is the Costco program. If you want to give him the Costco price, you got to give him to Chris. You're not going to get anything. You have to go sell the car for the full sticker, or it's not your deal.
Oof.
I was like, but I already told him I was going to get him a discount. How can I sell it for MSRP? So I just went to him, and I totally ate crow, and I was totally honest. It's like, I'm super apologized. Like, I'm brand new at this. Like, I really need your business. But if you don't want to buy from me, I understand. But I'm not authorized with the Costco program, and there's only two of these cars, so they're really not discounting them. So I really apologize, and I ate crow, and I feel so bad, and blah blah blah. And they felt sorry for me, and they bought the car at MSRP anyway. So,
Feeling sorry for the person getting yeah, that'll happen.
Honesty pays off. And if you're just transparent and I really and I don't want to lean on you. I don't want to exploit the relationship we have here, but I do need clients, and I if you appreciate working with me, I think your friends might as well. So I'd really appreciate that opportunity to send them a little message on your Facebook.
Okay, so use yeah.
You want to do it on their Facebook. If you post something and tag them in it, it's not going to reach nearly as many of their friends and family. You want to get their phone out and do it. And if they don't want to go live, that's fine. They can just snap a selfie with you and post it, and that's it's something.
Oh fuck! Actually, I just realized I could be doing that. I'm coaching some classes this week.
Oh yeah,
and they love
selfies
them
like crazy. Get on Instagram and Twitter and post them all over the place. And
I've done a couple.
Get them on your website.
Yeah, I've done a couple like I'll take Instagram like videos of the workout itself, but getting them to do it,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the key.
Yeah, there's going to be more investment that way, and now that they've repped it, people buy in. Like if you read books on influence, like once people take a small step, they actually tend to be more bought in. That's why, if you've ever wondered why a lot of marketing organizations they'll be like what's an example? Like I'm trying to remember a specific campaign, but I know like cereal companies or something might do like a submit your story on why you like our cereal and you can win a $50 gift card. And it's like, I mean, the point is they don't offer a whole lot. It's a fairly large commitment, but a small reward. But
Yeah.
anybody who does that gets a lot more bought in. The biggest example of it nowadays is reviews. Everybody's pushing for reviews. If somebody takes the time to write out a review for you, now they've kind of identified as part of your tribe. They're kind of they're going to be much more loyal now that they've done that. Which,
For
speaking of,
reviews, should I get them to be doing that on Google or on Facebook?
everywhere. Like seriously, you want to do Facebook reviews, Yelp reviews, like just search personal trainer reviews for your area, and like everything that comes up, you want to be on there.
Right, right.
Like, reviews are like the most important thing. I should have talked about that sooner. Actually, like we talk about reviews constantly in our job, because let me show. So dealerrater.com is one of the primary reviews for vehicles. And if I search uh what are some other Honda dealerships? So Rosenthal Fairfax, which is kind of more center in the Bay Area, has 327 reviews. Honda Westport has 1100 reviews. Scomp has 732.
But that's the other thing. There's like since everybody knows the game, everyone's reviews are 5 stars. Like I would say more or less, like especially in my business.
We have 6,629 reviews. 6,631. So we have way more reviews than just about anybody else. And that's
Damn.
because we work it really, really freaking hard. And people who put in reviews are much more likely. The one thing it does is it keeps your score up, because usually if you don't do anything, just naturally speaking, the people who put in reviews, the people who don't like you.
Yeah,
They're the
that's a good
ones
point.
they're the ones who put in the effort. So it's really important to get everybody who likes you to put in the 5 stars, because it drowns out the people who didn't like it. But it also
Right.
helps like if you can get a client to put in a review, that makes them more loyal to you. And if they share that on their social media, that's even better. So the reviews come up in the Google algorithm quite a bit. So that's going to help you there too. So the Google reviews are important. Every time somebody searches you, there's going to be a Google review attached to it. And if you only have 3 like this guy, fortunately all 3 have been 5 stars. But if he gets 1 star, now he's like going to be 3 stars. It's much better to have 22 4 stars, because one bad review won't hurt you. Excuse me. But yeah, Yelp's huge. I'm not too familiar with your industry, but anywhere reviews come up, if you want to, have you searched yourself? Like what?
Yep.
Like have people put in reviews for you at all?
Yep. Yeah. I a couple years when I first started, for the first couple years, I was sure to get people to do it. So I have a decent amount of
That's good.
reviews, and they're all good. I think they're all 5 stars. So
Awesome. Well, you want to keep it up, because the more recent they are, the more appropriate they are to the Google algorithm, and the more they'll come up when people search your name.
Yeah. True. Okay. Yeah. I'll remember to keep up on that. Yeah. There was a time when I was like, you know, looking in SEO and doing these reviews a lot and thinking about all this marketing stuff a lot more. But um, I don't know what happened. Either I just got lazy, or maybe I started finally making money, and so I didn't care as much anymore. And then and then and then when shit hit the fan, I
Yep.
had nothing, no
Totally. And
marketing
that can
coming out.
happen. We get distracted with other things. We're sailing fine and don't realize how fragile our position is.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's part of it. And the one main problem, I mean, the one main thing that you mentioned that people will always tell you in marketing is to, specify, target your audience.
Yes.
I've I've tried that in so many different ways. I've tried every like nothing. No, I've nothing is caught on. The only like success, the only success has been people I know or people who tangentially I know or acquaintances. There's no category of people I've been able to, I've tried older people, I've tried, women in their 40s, I've tried, students, I've tried people looking for, fasting or for this, that, and the other. I've never really been able to nail down anything that's been successful.
Yeah, I think trying to market cold is going to be the toughest thing. If you can build up a sufficient brand, that's when it gets easy. When
Right,
people search
exactly.
and they're like, "Oh man, this is the best personal trainer in town," and they're training the mayor, or, somebody famous, the Instagram star who has 3 million followers that's in your town. If you're training her, stuff like that, and that
Yeah, that's a
now
good
you're on
point.
easy street. So if the more people you can meet that are active in your community, and in the appropriate financial sphere, to where trainers can be afforded. Because yeah, you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna have much luck cold marketing. What luck you do have is going to be substantially boosted by a better online presence and more video content and stuff like that.
Right.
But the
I don't
main
know if
thing
you
is just
experience.
breaking the ice in person, I think, and getting referrals
Yeah,
from existing clients. Because the clients you have are already in that sphere of, if they can afford it, they probably have friends who can too.
true. Yeah, I've got a fucking doctor, like as a client, and he's
You
good
know, he
money for
knows
me.
doctors and nurses.
And well, but I've tried to bug him a bit, and he's like, "Oh, my friend's thinking about it," but he hasn't been able to translate that yet, which is unfortunate because I mean that would be a gold mine. I've
Well,
had a few.
breaking it down analytically, if we have trouble implementing the solution, we can make that the problem and work on that. There's actually a lot of stuff out there about how to get reviews and how to get referrals. How to get referrals.
Yeah.
$1 million script. How to ask for referrals without feeling awkward. I mean, like this is
I think I can do it without feeling awkward. I think it's
yeah,
just
but how to get
getting them.
referrals from everyone? How to increase? Like, there's going to be a lot of good psychological influencing types of tips on how to do this, because this is like your life's blood right here. This is your career, and you want to be professional. You want to get better at it and have a more stable income stream. The best way you can do that is by getting better at getting referrals. So definitely, like, intentionally train on that process would be a good thing to do too.
Did you? I mean, it's not really a problem, but did you notice that when you were training, that a lot of the guys and gals who were doing the best were some of the worst trainers and actually had some of the worst personalities?
Oh, totally.
Oh my God, there's nothing that grinds my
I
gears
think the
more
most
than that.
successful trainer at the 24-hour fitness I was working out of, she was this really abrupt, like kind of rude, and she would like There were hour sessions, but she'd only do like train for like 45 minutes because she wanted a break in between sessions.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, people paying $50 for a session and they're only getting 45 minutes out of you. I was like, I'd give them like an hour and 15 minutes because, I'm just trying to make them happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Different dynamics work for different people, but you got to be who you are. You can't pretend to be somebody else. Yeah, I do think some people might want a little bit of this dom, be mistreated by somebody, kind of
Oh, that's
dynamic
true.
where they're expecting it from their personal trainer who's just going to shit talk them and, you pathetic little slut, come on, put it up there.
Yeah, I mean that not isn't necessarily a bad thing if it's motivating.
Hey,
Sure,
whatever
but
works for people.
yeah, yeah.
But you got to be you.
Right, exactly. Oh man, that some of the trainers are the who are doing the best are the like most blatantly two-faced and kind of fake in that they're putting on a personality that isn't theirs, which I find difficult to deal with.
Yeah. I don't know if it's worth it.
All right, well, I got some. I think I have some things to work with here then. Um, I am curious though how what you did in your dating life to turn that around.
Yeah, it was pretty similar. I like broke it down and was like, okay, the first thing I need to do is like meet women, right? And I actually got into like I read a book on game and the whole whatchamacallit culture of the pickup community. Uh,
Oh, Neil Strauss.
I might have read it. I think I read his book. Yeah.
Was it called The Game?
Yeah. No, actually, I still own that book.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah. And
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 and actually,
there are
those
there
guys.
are elements to it that are true, and there's a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
negative stuff, obviously. Uh, but yeah. So there's how you present yourself. So I like read a lot of articles on like how to present yourself, what kind of profile you should have, what you should say about yourself, how you should present yourself. And if you can ask people to look at your profile and like give you tips, especially if you have like female friends, that can be helpful. But then the biggest thing is just a numbers game. You got to message as many people as you can, go on as many dates as you can. And so yeah, I messaged like I don't know, probably 100 women. And I ended up
On
going on
dating
like
on dating
8 dates in the first month, and it was wild for me because I'd tried internet dating many times before this, and I tried a lot of different platforms. I tried a lot of different approaches, and I never had any luck. I think I went on one date off the internet in like the 2 decades before that, and it was hella awkward. So
Yeah.
like everyone I ever dated, I just happened like my I actually met my first girlfriend, like long term girlfriend, when I was a personal trainer. I trained her, and she was like she asked me out at the end of our sessions, and then I ended up like we got engaged and stuff. I was with her for like 2 years,
Oh, geez.
but in terms of like actually picking up women I didn't know, I never did that. I was never a bar person, but yeah, when I applied, like when I intentionally broke it down, was like, okay, what are women looking for? Like, how can I stand out? Like, what kind of pictures are good and what are bad? Like, you can Google all this stuff, and there's a lot of advice out there. What's can I say about myself? How can I put my best foot forward? Like, what are the best messages to message people? And just kind of learning to be better and doing it intentionally instead of just trying to fly by the seat of my pants. And I don't remember everything I put into effect, but just the intentional aspect. And then the other side of any sales type thing, which is what it is numbers. It's massive action. And you never want to like read some girl's profile and be like, oh, she's so cute, I really want to go on a date with her, and then you like message her 10 times and put all your eggs in that basket.
Right,
That's not how
right.
internet dating works. Obviously, you gotta message a lot of people, and
Well, you got to get matches first, in the first place to even get to that point.
Yeah, well, it depends on the platform. I actually was using Plenty of Fish for that one. I don't know if it mattered, but it was like the best free one at the time. I don't even know.
Okay,
It's
right.
been a
I
few
use
years since I
plenty.
used them. Yo,
I
Fairy
use.
Plebe, what's up?
There he is.
Did you see his tweet? I can't believe that first YouTube shut him down, and then freaking Indiegogo shut him down.
I
Like,
know. That's
what the
even more ridiculous than the first one. At least with YouTube, there was at least a reason, even if it was a bad reason.
Yeah.
This one, yeah, absurd.
Well, I
Yeah. Anyway, I used Plenty of Fish, and I mean, if I wanted, I could have had tons of dates. And actually, on Tinder, I could have tons of dates. But these are all girls I'm not attracted to. There's lots of them, but you know, the ones that I'm attracted to, I'm not getting a matches for shit.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely opened my standards a little bit and just went on dates. And I think that you know, it's hard to give advice for other people when you don't like know them. But for myself, I was very much an introvert, and I kind of put women on a pedestal, and it was like hard to talk to them. So just going on a bunch of dates was very good for me. Treating it casually. Hey, we're just gonna have fun. We're gonna meet for a drink. We're gonna talk, and you know, nothing happened. It's cool, and nothing did happen
Yeah.
for several of them. And I remember I went on this one date, and the girl weighed like 100 pounds more than her picture, and I'm not into that. So, but we had a good old time. She actually had a couple friends there. It was she was
Okay.
trying to be casual too, apparently. So we were watching a
Yeah.
baseball game, and we
Just
just
in
kind of
case.
hung out, and then parted ways and never talked again. But hey, you know, it was fun time hanging out, and I got more comfortable with dating and going to the next step. So
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, had you had times in your life where you were super successful with women other than that?
oh, he's streaming. Uh, I mean that was pretty much the most successful period. I did get to the next level with two of them, and then the third one we got off really great and kept on dating, and then was able to move in with her, which was a step up from my shitty little room in the trailer park. She had a nice little two townhouse apartment, so it was a big help. And then we got married, so not a whole lot more luck since then.
Hmm. It's okay. So you weren't even an extrovert, really.
No, never have been. No, that's most salesmen are tend to be the more naturally extroverted, charismatic type, and I'm certainly not. Like I had to intentionally work on portraying myself and work on my personality, and like I'd never like walking up to strangers was something that terrified the socks off me. Just couldn't do it. But
Yeah.
in car sales, I did have to walk up to people and going door to door. So I kind of forced myself outside of my comfort zone,
Hmm.
and it did help me quite a bit. I'm still an introvert. I'm still preferred to avoid social. Like I'm the kind of person small talk bores the hell out of me. Like
Yeah.
I go to a party and they're like, oh yeah, the football and the blah 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 and the Kardashians. I'm like, oh my god, kill me now. They're like, oh, did you
Yeah.
hear about my friend and she's dating and she's breaking up with so and so? It's like, oh my god, I don't care. So that tends to be a common theme with introverts is we hate small talk. We're glad to have real conversations. Like, you want to talk about religion, philosophy, politics, something that affects our life, like we're talking about today. That's cool, but
In
not the best.
my online dating profiles, I've tried to, put that out there that I'm into politics and philosophy, but it's like so that hopefully someone will fucking bite.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's you can do all you can do, but you're also limited by how many people are online, and how many there's how populated your area is. Like 150,000 isn't a huge dating
I'm in a,
community, really.
I'm except it is. I'm in a university town, that
Oh,
has a
okay. Well,
university,
maybe
a university, a college, and a
that helps.
yeah, and it's also like the premier one of the premier universities. So all the rich kids go here. So
Yeah.
the selection's nice, but they're all pretty young for me now.
Yeah, well, the like what the Vosh's kind of advice kind of lines up with what I was recommending for business too. So, the more you get out there in the community meeting people, the more you might meet the kind of person you're interested in. Uh,
Right.
and you want to think about the kind of person you're interested in and go to where they might be hanging out too. So if you want to meet a girl who's into deeper topics like philosophy, you might join a philosophy club.
I'm in a philosophy club, and there's no women there under the age of 65.
You should leave that club then. It's not going to get you anywhere.
But I like the club though. That's
Oh, okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not
No,
leaving
you
that
probably
club.
have better luck in politics clubs. Go to some Green
Yeah,
Party stuff like we were talking about. Bet you do a lot better.
yeah, yeah.
But then you're more likely to meet an anti-vaxxer than somebody into philosophy. Depends on
Yeah.
the kind of group you get into, I guess. But yeah, uh, unfortunately not in the United States because there's a lot of Bernie people organizing, and Bernie people are good people. Good way to meet people. Yeah, anyone who watches this, volunteer for Bernie if you're single, and you will meet people guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, actually, Bernie. Fuck, I wish I was American. Bernie. I mean, joining a Bernie campaign. Holy shit!
Yeah.
It's all the youngest people,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
and they're
That's what I'm
political.
saying.
And oh, we don't have that in Canada. We have. I
Too
mean, our
bad.
Social Democratic Party is quite uninspiring.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of energy for Bernie right now, so if I was single, that would be the way to do it. And obviously, you don't want to go there and be creepy and like bug people. No, you meet people, you meet friends, and you go out and you have a drink after and get numbers, and go from there. Shit happens.
Yeah.
I mean, when Theory Plea was visiting me, we volunteered a couple times and met people and went out for lunch or whatever together afterwards. Casual. But yeah, definitely a good way to meet people.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's massive action. It's like both the business and the dating. It's like you want to put yourself out there as in as many ways as you can.
There's similar problems.
Yep.
There, and in fact,
The internet,
I mean,
you put it out yourself out there in reality. You meet people in person. You meet people online.
well, and also like the more financially stable you are, the more that's going to kind of rub off, and the more
Yeah,
I swear to
totally.
God, women can smell it.
Oh yeah. No, I remember trying to date while I was unemployed, and I was trying to like organize a date. There's like a couple times I'd be in a conversation with a woman, but like trying to organize the date without them finding out you don't have a car. It's like, oh, okay, so you want to meet where? Damn, that's pretty far from the bus stop. Shit. It's like,
Yeah, that's tough.
it's pretty tough. Like not having a
I'm
car,
lucky that I've always had a car.
not having a place. It makes it very difficult. So
Oh my
probably
God.
better to focus. Like if you're in a position like I am, I think you at least are paying rent somewhere, so it's a little better situation. But if you're in an extremely bad financial situation, the first thing you got to do is fix that. Before you focus too much on trying to meet somebody.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fuck. If I can't even imagine like with the economy and the gig economy and for the reality of most people. I mean, I'm suffering right now, but I mean, if I was ugly and super disabled and I just like there's so many things that can make. I mean,
Yep.
people can hear me complaining about my situation and be like, "Fuck you! You have so many advantages."
No, that's
There's so
totally always true. And
yeah,
that's the thing. You can always look at everything from. There's a lot of different perspectives, and everybody suffers, and that suffering's real. Like I can look at the spoiled heiress to billionaires and how she, cries about being dissed on Instagram or you know, but she feels suffering.
Oh yeah,
Like, you
yeah,
know, she feels insulted when she's insulted. Like, it might not be as severe as, you know, the poor kid in India that's like starving by the gross river or whatever, you know, but, you know, people, I don't think we getting into suffering Olympics helps anybody. Like, we should all be able to be empathetic to each other's suffering and not be like, yeah, well, mine is way worse than yours, even if that's true. I mean, it is obviously true that you and I are privileged in a way most of the world isn't.
oh yeah.
And, you know, definitely keep that in mind. But I'm
But I
not
mean,
going to pretend
even
like I haven't been through some shit and it hasn't been tough on me, because it was. Uh,
yeah.
so definitely true.
Hmm.
But no, yeah, I've thought about that before too, because like my path out of the poverty cycle would have been a whole lot more difficult if I was a minority. I've actually thought about that before, because part of the path out was the door to door sales. And
Right.
the toughest part of that is getting people to open the door in the first place. And
Well, I mean, even being male is
yeah,
is a
no,
hard for that.
definitely. But I broke those problems down logically too. I didn't talk about that too much, but like I broke down, like I went through a 6 week period where I didn't sell anything. And, you know, that was very stressful because I needed the money and I just moved. And so I broke down the problem, and it was like, okay, so the first thing I need is people to open the door. And then once they open the door, I need to make a good enough impression that they let me in. And I like, what do I need to exude in order to get people to do that? And I figured the first thing was I needed to be, they needed to trust me
Non-threatening.
at some level, like non threatening, like trustworthy. And people needed to like me at some level. I needed to come across as like friendly. Trusting and friendliness are kind of two different things. And third, in order, which didn't come into the like opening the door, but gets into like actually buying anything from you, is they need to respect you at some level. You need to appreciate, like, respect you to listen to what you have to say and believe you at some level. So I'd actually
Right.
repeat a mantra to myself as I went door to door, that was, people like me because I'm friendly. They trust me because I'm trustworthy, and they respect me because they know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Something like to that effect. It's been a while. And it seems kind of lame, but by repeating it to myself and like focusing on exuding this as much as I could in my walk, how I smile as I went up, like how I knocked on the door, people are looking at you through the little people, the whole thing. And it definitely helped me exude what I needed to exude to actually get in and sell people stuff.
The
So
self-talk works.
it does. Uh, it keeps you from like it's a lot of people. Well, I don't think any of us are always conscious of how other people are looking at us. If you're
Right.
walking door to door or do, you know, whatever your specific challenge is, but if you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, this just sucks and nobody likes me and I'm not good
Nobody
anywhere,"
likes me.
you know, you
It's
this
easy to think
negative
that.
self talk that happens, like your shoulders start to slump. It starts coming across your face a little bit. Like, you're not conscious that you're exuding it, but you are. People can see this. And I'm not saying there's any like supernatural aura here, but just how your body language conveys this kind of stuff is very powerful. So I think the benefit to the self talk is replacing that negative dialogue with something positive, even if it's lame. If you're thinking about it and believing in it and exuding it, it does affect your body language.
True. Yeah, well, body language was one of, I mean, I've had a couple periods of um wildly successful, not wildly, but pretty darn successful periods relationship wise and sex wise. Um and exuding the confidence, whether or not it was real, was a big part of that.
Totally. Confidence is the biggest thing when it comes to dating, for sure. especially for a man, but you really for both. Like it's very important, or not both. Don't want to be binary here, but everybody. Confidence is typically important. Some people are attracted to the insecure types, but I think for the most of us, confidence is important. And actually, that mental discipline helps out with that significantly. I did have self hypnosis routines that helped with confidence, where you visualize yourself as confident, and you visualize yourself as like Superman and nothing can touch you, or whatever kind of metaphor that works for you, that makes you feel confident, and you just get into a trance state and focus on that, and it can help you learn to portray confidence better. There's a lot of things you can do through self hypnosis or hypnotherapy with other people that can help that kind of things. Yeah, self hypnosis. You can't. Self hypnosis is never quite as effective as somebody else, because you can't go as deep, because you're focusing on kind of guiding yourself instead of just going with it. But you can do a lot through self hypnosis. Just doing it's kind of like meditation. It kind of relaxes you. Every time I do self hypnosis, like when I come out of it, I feel refreshed, like I took a nap. It's a nice experience.
That's what they say, yeah.
Even if you're like not trying to do like a therapy type of thing. And you definitely, just a disclaimer here, you don't want to try to do self hypnosis for any kind of major psychological issue. If you have depression, if you have anything like this, you do not want to do self hypnosis.
Right.
Some people can actually perpetuate a negative loop by doing that. So that's when you want to get professional assistance. So self hypnosis is, kind of boost your confidence, kind of maybe work on some habit issues. Nothing deeper than that was not recommended at all. Get some professional help.
It just occurred to me that the other benefit of hypnosis, learning it, is that if you mention that you've learned or are learning hypnosis, that's a massive, like, everyone's interested in hypnosis.
Yeah.
Like,
it gives you something to talk about.
That's a huge thing to talk about. People are super interested in it.
Yeah, and that's if another thing you can do for sure. Like there's performative hypnosis. I've actually read about it. I haven't done it myself, but I probably could, like stage hypnosis and public hypnosis.
Oh yeah, I've been to a couple comedy shows where they did that.
It's interesting. It's not actually. A lot of people assume it's fake, and it can be fake. Like television shows probably control it a little bit more because they want to make sure it happens. But basically, you just you sort the audience. You do a couple things, and you're looking at the audience to see who's the most suggestible before you pick your volunteer. That's like the most important part of it.
I was sorted out. He cut me out of the.
Oh, like he didn't pick you?
No. Like a bunch of us went up to the seats, and then he did his sorting process, and like I was clearly just couldn't focus, and like I can't sit still because I have so many aches and pains. Oh. So he was like, just get out of here.
Yeah.
I also don't
like
I also don't believe I can be hypnotized, whereas I think that's a part of it. Like other people think they can.
Yeah.
They believe it.
Yeah, and everybody can be hypnotized, but you can't be hypnotized against your will.
Exactly.
I mean, that's definitely true. Like I watched the show The Mentalist for a while, and they're actually fairly accurate. I thought they would be like ripping on it. But there were a couple times when they kind of really exploited it. There's this one scene where this guy comes walking into the police department dragging a dead body, and everyone's freaking out. He's like, "What? I'm just delivering this sack of potatoes," and he's like totally hypnotized and just thinks it's a sack of potatoes. But
that's hilarious.
That doesn't happen.
No.
There's been, like, through freedom of information requests and stuff like that, they've exposed CIA programs. Like, they tried to figure out if there was a way to influence people like that, and they put a lot of effort into trying to be able to brainwash people. And
I think they got
the programs mostly failed. Like in terms of actually like changing, like in terms of like brainwashing people and controlling people, certainly not. In terms
Disagree.
of influencing people,
Disagree. Sirhan,
in terms of
Sirhan.
influencing people, that there is a lot of that people have achieved. Actually, I wonder if I have that book. One of the books I read on personal influence talks about the success of the Chinese prisoner of war camps in World War II. They were way more successful than Americans were at like switching their prisoners.
Right.
There's a lot of U.S. soldiers who were prisoners in Chinese camps and came out communists, and they're like writing pro-communist manifestos and shit from like the prisoner of war camps, and that's bad propaganda for Americans.
Yeah.
So
how'd they do it?
Well, some of this kind of stuff I already brought up, like getting small commitments at a time. And like they wouldn't go like, we're going to kill you if you don't do this. It would just be small consequences and small rewards. So it's like, if you write a pro-communist essay, you'll get an extra piece of meat at lunch. It's like, because people don't feel like they're selling out if it's a small thing. But once you do something small, now they've kind of got you, because, well, that was already kind of betraying the U.S., so you might as well do the next thing.
Okay, but that's different.
Anyway, there's a lot to it, but that was just one of the things they talked about.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think they can actually brainwash people. They can influence people substantially, and this is why torturing is ridiculous, because torturing doesn't work, but more advanced interrogation tactics that are psychological can work.
Right. I mean, the cops are some interrogators, some police interrogators are really can do magic.
Yes, it's absolutely terrible how they do that. And if you don't know this, if you're ever talking to a cop, get a freaking lawyer. Don't say anything. Don't trust them worth a shit, because it is absolutely abhorrent how often innocent people are talked into saying things that are twisted into sounding like they're guilty, and before you know it, now you're in jail, and now you're losing your job and your house and everything because you're in jail. You're waiting trial, so finally you do a plea deal, say you're guilty just so you can get out of jail, and they'll slap you with community service, and they get their conviction, and you have a record, and it's like this kind of shit happens all the time. Do not trust cops.
Yeah.
I actually have a story.
For anyone watching this in the future, never talk to cops.
Yes, absolutely. I was actually, this was way back. Was I a personal trainer? I think this is back when I was training, but I had a full-time job in concrete, and then I was a personal trainer. So I already didn't have much energy. I had to wake up at 5 to be at work by 6. But this one particular night, it was like a freaking Tuesday, and I was staying up playing video games. I got hungry, realized there's no food in the house, so I went to Burger King at 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So there's it's not a party town. It was dead. There's nobody on the street. So I drive to Burger King, get my burger. I'm driving back through a residential area, and I'm kind of jiving with my knee while I unwrap my burger. Right?
Yeah.
And I guess I did a little weaving while I'm doing that. And next thing I know, I'm getting pulled over. And the cop comes over. There's 2 of them. Makes me get out of the car. Sir, have you been drinking? No, sir. I literally hadn't been doing anything. 3 days before that, I took an ibuprofen. That was about it. So, clean as a whistle. But he's making me do all these tests. And he's like, no, I see something in your eye. You're going to have to come with me to the station, sir. It's like, what? And he literally, throws me in the back of the seat, very roughly, of the cop car. Brings me to the police station, runs me through more sobriety tests. They made me piss in a cup. They made me breathe on the breathalyzer. Still not finding anything. And they're like, man, I don't know what you're on, but it's must be some cool new shit. I was like, I'm not on anything. What, you think I'm on some super drug that can't be tested? They didn't let me out of there until 3 a.m. And he wouldn't give me a ride back to my car. He gave me a ride back to where I lived. And I was like, but I need my car for work. So I had to wake my girlfriend up and go back and get my car. But he's like, I can't bring you back to your car in good conscience. I know you're on something.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah. And it turned out there was two of them. Like, by acting like I wasn't listening and just having my head down and like radar ears, I eventually picked up towards the end that the one cop was like an experienced one, and the other one was like a new cop who was like training in how to do sobriety tests.
So you were the victim.
And they just wanted to like
You're the guinea pig.
practice. I was the guinea pig. They didn't give a shit that I had to be at work at 6 in the morning. So, yes, the moral of that story is you can tell people that I'm leaving unless you're arresting me. Like, I was not under arrested. I didn't know that I could just stand up and leave. And I probably didn't even have to go to the station. I could have been like, "Are you arresting me, sir?" And they would have had to say no because they had nothing.
Well, you said he threw you in the car, though.
Yeah, because I agreed to go to the station. But
Oh.
I didn't know I had a choice because the way they put it. I could have asked, "Are you arresting me?" And he would have then been either had to be like, "Okay, I have to arrest him," in which case, if I get to the station and there's nothing, I'm going to look like a tool, and it's going to probably look bad on my report, and you can sue for wrongful arrest, and it becomes more of a legal issue at that point.
But because they got you to agree.
Definitely at the station after I took the breathalyzer, because I think there are laws in some states, including Idaho, that if they ask you to take a breathalyzer, you have to do it. So I had to, like, once I took the breathalyzer, I certainly could have left, and I certainly didn't have to piss in the cup. Like that was not part of, like, you have legal rights. So I should have just like done the breathalyzer and been like, okay, I'm out of here unless you're arresting me. But I was raised to trust cops, and that's a big mistake.
Yeah, damn. I fucking hate cops so goddamn much.
Yeah, obviously there's good individual cops, but as an organization, it's fucked up as hell.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what always got me, and I even as a conservative, I seem to remember thinking about this a couple times, is like they always say it's like the bad apple, but then all the other police defend them. So is it really just one bad apple? Like
so then
I remember this one case. It wasn't. There was this like white boy. He's like 18. Was pulled over in Montana, and there's a video of it, so it went fairly viral. And the cop was like being antagonistic, and the guy was obviously scared of cops, and they ended up pulling him out. And anyway, it escalated, and the kid got shot. And what got me was that the first cops on the scene were like helping him get his story together, like, and like protect him. And it's like they weren't even from his district. It's just like the brotherhood of cops. Like, this has happened in several other public instances. Like the first cops on the scene are gonna like, well, what's your story? Like, let's wipe the fingerprints off over here. We're gonna say that he did this, and it doesn't even matter who the cops are. It doesn't matter if they're friends. It's just like the brotherhood. They look out for each other.
The institution itself.
Yeah, and it's a tough one when you're up against human nature, but it would take a deep culture shift in order to fix the police problem, and a lot of transparency, a lot of accountability. If I was mayor, I would probably put cops back on a beat where they're walking and like meeting people in the community, and like going to schools, and the more involved they are in the community and meeting people and not being law enforcement, but being a peacekeeper and a servant of the community.
Right.
I mean, that's the mentality you need to have. And in order to do that, you need to have that be their job, or at least a big part of their job.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Getting them to just, like, I don't know, run around doing volunteer shit everywhere, helping out community in every nook and cranny.
Yeah, I mean, Bo of the Fifth Column actually used to train cops, and a lot of that training is important too. He talks about the importance of. He has like catchphrases he uses. It's like time, distance, and cover or something like that. You know, if you come to if you go to something and there's like an active shooter or like somebody waving a gun around, like you need time. You don't want to just react. You need to get behind cover at a distance, take a breath, and like evaluate your opportunities. And every
Yeah.
time there's a problem that's in the news about the police, it's because they didn't do this. So I think
Right.
the answer is for everyone to hire, if you're a police department, hire Bo of the Fifth Column to come train you.
Yeah. And any police departments watching, hire Bo.
Totally. I don't even know if he's training anymore, but there's other people doing this kind
Just
of
watch
training.
his channel and become anarchists
There you go.
like Bo.
Absolutely. Yeah. Alrighty. Got anything else, or should we wrap her down here?
I think we covered everything more or less. I mean, um, that I really wanted to talk about, and you know, a lot of these things that we discussed, I kind of knew, but I just like wasn't keeping them front of mind.
Exactly, and that's the
Um,
advantage to being methodological about it. Like if you make it a goal, if you like break down each one, and you're like, I'm gonna do this week.
right.
I'm gonna make 2 videos. I'm gonna join like one organization like BNI or Toastmaster. I'm gonna ask one of my clients to share on Facebook, and you just like make a specific goal and then do it.
Yeah, you got to be intentional
Yep.
and plan for this shit.
Yep.
All right, we got a
Cool.
plan.
Well, it was
Gonna be a
great
millionaire
talking
by
to you.
the end of
Thanks
the
for
year.
coming on. That was fun.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me and going over this.
Yeah,
It's been
absolutely.
fun.
Absolutely. Thank you. And hopefully we're not in World War III yet.
Yeah.
So,
Otherwise, that. All right.
all right. Well, have a good night.
You too.
Bye. All righty. Thank you so much for watching. I feel like that was a good little chat. I'd like to talk to you. If you want to talk to me about anything self-improvement related, if you want to talk about politics, anybody who's not supporting Bernie, I really believe there's nothing more important at this moment in time. I don't think there's any charities, any movements in politics, anything that's more important. And I think I can demonstrate that empirically. So if you care about making a difference in the world, let's campaign for Bernie motherfucking Sanders. I have a link in the description. And if you disagree, I'd love to have you on and talk about it. Had 3 debates so far. I think they were all good faith, and none of them regret coming on. I'm not a scary person, so we'll have a good old chat. Definitely would like to have people on. I'm also willing to debate other topics. So you know, if you've heard me say something that you thought was wrong because I mentioned something off the cuff that's kind of reflective of the fact that I'm an atheist, or you know I believe in evolution, you know I'm glad to talk about those kind of things. So yeah, I just like talking to people, and I'm probably only going to be really streaming if I have a guest. I like talking to people. Otherwise, I am working on some prepared content to put out there. I recorded 4 short Bernie videos this morning, uh, and I'm gonna edit some clips in together. So I don't know when they'll be dropping, but those will be released the next week or so. So want hopefully those get out there and make an impact. So anyway, thanks for coming. You can follow me on Twitter at Re-Vera Life, and on Discord. I have all the links in the description. Definitely go check out Swoletariat's channel. I have the link in the description. And until I see you next time.